Hello and welcome on back. Part two of this Monday evening. Happy Monday. So I kind of went a little too much into detail in the last one. Apologies, and please don't think less of me. I mean, I am who I am, checkered past and all that, and a lot of people have checkered past. Eh, it's just that dirty laundry you don't want to air out and stuff, and I apologize. And I'm actually rethinking of a decision I made recently. I don't want to get this person in trouble. Oh, the shack of shame. Sorry, like the sexual abuser, the drugger, the raper. Again, shouldn't be pigeonholing. Like a person needs to be able to change and needs to change. Otherwise, we would just do death sentences for everybody, and that's not humane. That's not okay. And people do change. I mean, people do change. That doesn't take away from the fact that he did what he did, and he needs to make it right with the people that he did it to. Again, that part of the. So if you don't know, and if you're just joining us, wow, settle up, you're in for a ride. But no, part of a nonprofit that I'm trying to pitch called Communal, which should be in the description by now. I'm going to go ahead and, oh, I should do that tonight. But I've added it to a lot of descriptions. I just don't know if I've done it to this playlist. And of course, the new videos I got to update and all that. So, but anyways, Communal is a nonprofit idea that people, a lot of people I know are going to start working together eventually. That's why it's going to take a while. I still figure it's going to be a year or two before it even gets started, and even then, it would need a lot of traction. And honestly, I think there's already things out there that are happening. So, if anything, this could just be a template for influencing other existing nonprofits to lean a certain way, one way or the other. And even that, being in Colorado, like they might already be leaning that way. There's a lot of, and specifically, I'm talking about the hippie farms part. So, the hippie farms are happy house spas and farms are an idea for like a rehab or even just like a mental health checkup, a mental wellness checkup that people can do, go up to the mountains, hang out with a bunch of hippies on a farm, grow food, eat, hang out, use cannabis and magic mushrooms. And that's the funny part for me because like I grew up knowing people that yeah, they were total hippies and like, still responsible, like had lives, had jobs and lived, like, did things, weren't just like complete. And then of course there's the people that are really dedicated to it that can live in like communes and stuff, but whether it be temporary or long term, I don't know. And I think we're to a point where we can kind of get a compromise of a lot of that stuff, not go completely out, live in the woods forever. Just like a checkup, like I said, a mental health checkup, mental wellness, and especially for community corrections, like people coming from prison and like being released into the community, like because it's not all just doing a bunch of drugs and like hanging out on a farm, like job skills and resources and communicating and working together to build better people and better work environments because it all ripples outwards. Like the better we handle our corrections and fix the way that we reintegrate people into society, and also while at the same time concurrently addressing how we put people into prison in the first place and reduce that as much as we can. And even by that, because you got to continue on down the funnel, try to reduce it from even happening in the first place, which goes right back to the beginning where if there's less people going away for large chunks of their life and affecting their families, so, disastrously so, then they're going to stop bouncing off of all the things. Like, there's going to be less things to get drunk to and wallow in pity about and sorrow. Like, it's going to be the normal things, like breaking up with relationships and stuff. And even then, with concepts like ethical non-monogamy and like the idea of understanding the degree of severity of relationships and what's okay and what's not. Like there's a whole bunch of like ways to look at that. Healthy relationships in particular, like understanding how to be more communicative, which I did some therapy classes in healthy communication, which is important. And a big part of that is like taking time to get the macro level view of things and understand the perspectives involved, all the perspectives involved. And what also helps, which a lot of law enforcement and corrections had to do, or at least had to, I don't know if they still do, they probably do some kind of form of it, verbal judo, which is where you de-escalate situations and work with people. I don't want to give away the whole thing, there's a whole skill to it in art, but that's like basically the gist of it, and that's what law enforcement do during a traffic stop. And I want to talk about all that because I just spammed this gigantic response. Not, I don't think it's annoying. Like, I mean, it's going to be a huge at the beginning, but it's separated. It's like, it seems pretty well thought out, and it directs all the points, and it's just a massive X reply. And I messaged it to this person because I recently, so last episode, I was saying how I got blocked by Lakota Man. And I feel sad about that. It's like, because I really liked Lakota Man. I thought, like, well, first off, I feel like a cruddy ally for Native Americans because I wanted to kind of work on that and get some understanding and be like, what can I do without saying, hey, what can I do? So I cheered him on. I liked his post when he did like Native American history and I would say things like Native American history is American history, which it is. I mean, and I actually thought about that one day. I was like, because you know what? You know that it is like is American, and like it goes back to one of my buddies had this shirt, a hippie buddy that, uh, well, we won't go into all that yet, but wait, what am I even doing? I got produce and stuff. Let's go finish chopping that up, but also we need to get rid of some of this. This is actually like my son's area of chest. Let's go over here. Oh, I got a lot of the sand. Hold on. I'm doing two things at once, but anyways, that's why it feels so bad. Hold on. And that's why I spammed that whole message because I wanted to make, without a doubt, for certain that everybody that reads that post understands my position one way or the other with, and it's the unfortunate consequence of here. Let's just drop off these things. Let's carry on with making a bunch of glass. Come on, Jesse, let's go. Let's cook. Just kidding. No, but basically, like, because if you look at any one part of it, it's really easy to hate me. Both sides, Democrats and Republicans, and even libertarians. Like, sure, why not? They'd probably be like, "Oh, this guy's a jerk." Like, if you only see one part of it. So I explain all of it all around. And the original discussion was on minimum wage, and it was from a post that, um, let's see, I need the wood. Uh, so I worked at Subway for like 5 years, and and they have these soda machines. Actually, pretty much every fast food place or anywhere that serves soft serve soda or soft drinks soda. Anyways, because soft serves the ice cream and sorry, wrong thing. But my point being is a lot of people that have worked a minimum wage job know that that's in most food service and fast food, and they've had to work for very low wages and such. And that's actually changing. Like that's not really even true for Colorado. We upped our minimum wage to $10 an hour before the rest of the country, and we decided to make that jump. At the same time, prices did go up a little bit, but people reevaluated their business strategies and was like, hey, if I can't do so with this labor, I mean, and of course, there were sad and bittersweet parts of that. Like I saw the old Subway that I worked at, one of them, because I worked at like five different stores, three mainly. I had keys to three stores. So, but anyways, I did cash drops for two of them, but or like deliveries. Anyways, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, I know those machines, and I worked very low wages for a very long time and had a lot of responsibilities, and that's all they really could afford because the business model of a Subway is you franchise, you try to like limit your costs. We were watching things like productivity, and we'd constantly have to send people home and not really have assistants, so like that was hard, and like um, yeah, and it was, and being an assistant manager for that because I did finally promote up to that, and a lot of people are kind of saying the same thing, like they're in agreement with each other in these debates, like, and I'm like debating circles with a couple of people, like they're back to, no, we can't just raise the minimum wage because that'll put small businesses out of business, and I'm like, well, yeah, no, clearly, as per my last email, like that's what I was saying. We can't do that because we don't want them to go out of business, so but the cost of living needs to come down. Okay, we'll do that. And also the hardships. And I threw in the war on drugs in there too, just like the whole, everything, threw it at it. Why not? Random bullish, go. And so, yeah, I wish I could be a fly on the wall when people from other countries watch these videos, or even from other areas of this country too. Like, because we're all thinking a lot of it. Although I feel like between the George Carlins and the Tim Allens and the all the different comedians of the day, just saying the most outlandish stuff and being like forcing us into a perspective we may never have seen on our own. They helped us see. Oh, and what's his name? Jason Mewes or Jay Mewes, the guy Jay from Jay and Silent Bob. He's a dad now. I've watched some of his Instagram stuff. It's crazy. Like, I'm so happy for him. And like, and he was such a huge stoner on TV and everything. Total degenerate, supposed to be like completely brain dead from too much drug use, and there he is, completely functioning as a loving dad, like, and showing the world that hey. And I know he just quote unquote played one on TV. You know, every Comic Con he went to, he was probably blazing with people or something like that. Like you just have to. Or when you're at the young age and you're going to parties, and he looked like, he was playing the part really well. I mean, like his eyes were even, I don't know. Again, could be Hollywood magic, whatever. But I'm not even saying like, sorry, that started sounding derogatory. Like I know a lot of people that lived lives similar to Jay and Silent Bob and Clerks and that whole thing, and like, and again, working minimum wage jobs. Thankfully, like those overnight shifts tend to make a little more money. Usually, at least that's how it was with the few places I went to. Like, people aren't completely non wait, how do I say that? People are understanding. They're not completely heartless when it comes to employees and their needs and stuff. And if you communicate with your boss, but there's a key point. If you oh wow, I forgot this was even there. If you communicate with your boss, they will work with you to give you more responsibilities, more pay, more hours, whatever it may be. Yeah, but establishing a larger minimum wage makes people make better business decisions like, can I afford to have this many employees? Can I even afford to have this location open? And even as sad as it was, like one of my Subway locations closed down. It was a miserable location. Like they weren't making hardly any money. There was barely any customers, and like the few that did come in got such horrible service because the people working there, like they had these long periods where nobody would come in. Like it was extremely slow and dead. But being a Subway and working with fresh food that has to be fresh, or well, very bad things happen. Um, and are constantly checked. Like that's a huge part of the job is just labeling things, keeping track of dates, taking bread out, cooking it properly, doing like 50 things at once. It's the total ADHD like daydream though. Like it was so fun. And for those that don't know, yes, I am a bit ADHD, officially diagnosed, but I was also officially diagnosed with depression and another thing, and not depressed anymore. I also don't drink anymore, so I think that's a lot of it. It's most of it, actually. Because it is a depressant. Oh, that Pikachu, like, awe face. Oh, I don't know. And I love Clerks because, yeah, anybody who's worked at, like, a gas station or fast food or anything, like, you probably smoked bud on your break with the manager, and, like, everybody said this is ridiculous or whatever at some point or another. Like, it's just, or, like, I remember I worked for this mom and pop burger joint, and the owner used to get, like, completely wasted. like, and like, well, not completely, but he'd start getting drunk, and then like his wife actually worked there with him, and she'd be like, "Okay, time to go home," and she would keep an eye on him, and he would have fun, and he'd just like feel like a king, like Sinatra, and he'd feel like he made it, and like he was like living as he was supposed to be, like he grew up thinking was really a sign of success, and so, and I respected that out of him, and he wore his gold pimp chain and all this, and like, and even that the concept of pimp, like that's one of my current side projects that I'm working on is like, how do you approach the adult industry with dignity? And I actually got a buddy who's got some family investment in business, been to the American Video or Adult Video Awards, um, and he's on it. Like that's his business. Like, how do we legalize other services? Common sense stuff too. People calling it prostitution when really it's like, no, it's the oldest profession, and if done properly and regulated and safely, not in black markets, then yeah, it could actually be a decent industry. Maybe not like respectful, but at the same time, why not too? And that's the other thing too with OnlyFans girls, and why I love Churdleys. Because so if you haven't heard of Churdleys, he's a super nerdy guy that looks a lot like one of my best friends growing up, like one of my closest friends from back home, and just kind of like saying what a lot of us are thinking, like, just about respect and mocking people and modern day comedian and stuff. So I actually sent him an email to see if I could collab with him, but I have no material. That's okay. I got one buddy now. We're gonna start filming some things, and we'll figure it out though. I don't want to say too much too soon because that could be like we end up like not doing anything, falling out over it. I'm just kidding. Hollywood problems. No, I think we're gonna try to recreate some Redman music videos because he's on it. Like when I told him that, oh, It's crazy. All I had to do was listen, and I ended up in a chat room with Redman, one of my one of my idols. And I'm trying not to be all weird and like like that. If I ever met him, I'd be like, oh dang. Actually, I have seen him in concert. I've been really close. Like it's not like screaming Usher fans like or Stan too. You don't want to be a Stan like with Marshall Mathers. That's like uh, but understanding that like there's no ulterior motive to meeting him except for I really enjoyed a movie he did, how high I enjoy his music, and that's all. That's all it has to be. I think part of that, and actually Redman was great for this too. He kind of broke the concept that cribs had to be all fancy and lavish living, like the lifestyles of the wealthy or the fab and famous. Is some cartoon I can't remember what that's off of, but anyways, let's go get some sand, make some glass. But no, like he did a cribs episode where, and he tricked him. He did a switcher. Oh, and not see switcheroo. That's all ruined for me now. He did a fake out. There you go, or bait and switch, even better. So, and then if for those that don't know, the switcheroo is what the victim in my assault case told me about doing. Don't know if he actually did it. So again, like I don't want to get him in trouble, but at the same time, I am a little upset that all these years, check my watch like 20 years later, and he still hasn't like apologized or said anything. So it's like he didn't learn a lesson. So now I got to teach him a lesson, or someone does, but not like punishment. So anyways, that's the slippery slope that I got to be careful with, and it's not my decision to make. But I can try to ally and prevent it from happening in the future. But the bait and switch of the old shit, what was, oh shoot, sorry, oh, I'm gonna have to edit that out. Um, what was I talking about? Well, either way, the total bait and switch was my message on X. Talked about like 5 different things and blended it all together. Basically, the Jon Stewart approach. That's how I see pretty much everything. Like if you watch Jon Stewart enough, I mean, he rips on both sides. Like he's a true legit comedian that like he doesn't leave anybody out. Colbert tries to, but doesn't do as good of a job. He's still more one-sided and almost dangerously so. Like I mean, his entire shtick is like anti-MAGA, anti-Trump, anti-Elon, and just like viciously so. And I mean, whereas Jon Stewart is actually saying, like, look at what Biden did. He didn't really do much either. Like, we're not exactly like, or what those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, or don't throw stones in glass houses, or the biblical thing, like before you judge somebody or tell them about the speck in their eye, remove the log from your own eye. Basically saying like, or like Brad Pitt, for every finger you point, there's four pointing back at me. And I swear I thought of this. I don't know, like maybe I did hear it from somewhere before that. I don't know. But I thought about that one day when I was having a session with some friends. I was like, hey, every time you point at somebody, there's really three fingers pointing back at you. And they're like, whoa, man, that's deep. And like, and I'm sure it's probably even happened a few times. Like, that kind of scary idea of the universe experiencing itself. It's easier explained that like, no, we're not like all one entity just like that, but we are so similar and so very much like each other that we tend to find ourselves in very similar situations. That's why sitcoms are so entertaining. Like you could totally see like, yep, that's Uncle Jack or whatever, and then you see Breaking Bad, you're like, yep, that's Uncle Jack, and like just kidding, Uncle Jack is a very dangerous character in Breaking Bad. And that's the other thing too. Let's talk about Biden and neo-Nazis. So this is this is where it got kind of upsetting for me because I do have a lot of friends that like love Trump. They've loved him the whole time. They're complete, like very Republican, very proud of their political party, and like same with a lot of Democrats. Like the ones that are very proud of it, they kind of get, well, maybe a little too much, maybe unsportsmanlike, like maybe a little not good, nicht sehr gut. So, but anyways, Biden tried to label MAGA as a neo-Nazi organization. All of it. And like and some of those prison sentences they handed out to the January 6th people, like, yes, it was scary, yes, they like were trying to do this and that, but at the same time, like, I don't know, I still feel like we didn't get the full story of that election. Like I don't think it was stolen, and I want to believe in the courts and believe that the professionals that do this day in day out know what they're doing, I want to have faith in other people that they know their job. However, like even my example is like, so Chaffee County is a very small like county. Like Buena Vista resides in Chaffee County where I grew up, and I was reading the Chaffee County Times, and it was talking about how like the recording equipment that monitored the poll workers was like some, it wasn't just a normal videotape. It was like the player that it had a special player to play the footage. I was like, "Oh, this all sounds like such a bad cover up lie." Like, wait, what are we doing? I just started, we got to move to the next place. That's what. Sorry, like I guess there is still some sand there. It's also getting cold. We're getting back into a cold snap here, but basically, like, I don't know. Like, we can't be half a country of complete idiots. And that's applicable to both sides. Both sides could say that. We can't be a country full of half of idiots. Like, we gotta trust that our fellow people have, like, looked into this and understand what's going on. And that's why XAP is so interesting, is because, like, with all the discussions, debates, and back and forth, um, like, you start to find out, like, why people are upset about certain things, and then you can start getting to the bottom of it. Like, okay, let's resolve this conflict, let's do some problem solving, let's figure this out, let's have a dialogue. And like, oh, and it is so just like oof, awkward and grating, or however you want to think of it, but it's so necessary. And like, and I haven't watched a lot of the recent Joe Rogan, and I should go back and watch like Elon on Joe Rogan, and just see what I think about that. Because I watched Alex Jones for the first time ever, just a few days ago. Now I'm still mad at him for lying about like the shooting thing. That was okay. That understandable why people would be mad about that and the lawsuit and stuff. However, then other stuff like being labeled an organization and like in a threat and a terrorist group and all this and like things that like because of oh, I gotta be careful talking all about that stuff too. But I mean, whether it happened or not, and that's a South Park episode where the whole George W. I think I can say 9/11 in here, but for a while there, I don't think you could. Like, you get in trouble. But anyways, no, it's and I don't want to violate, YouTube's rules. YouTube's been very good to me, allowing me to post all this nonsense and share my opinion. Nah. So what do we do with it? Well, Jon Stewart is going to have Elon on his show, and there we're going to be able to hash it out. It's got to happen. It's going to happen. It has to. It's inevitable that it's going to happen. I mean, and even if not, like, Jon Stewart does a pretty good job of like kind of giving a summary, a synopsis, like his opinions and understanding the other side, because that's the important thing that's lacking with Colbert is understanding the other side. And I saw Sean Hannity start to do that too, like ripping into everybody, like just being kind of pokey and mean to everybody. I mean, I think like Trump was upset about how Hannity did an interview and was like talking about how it was like not done well and like a bad interview and all this. It's like, whoa, okay, like trouble in paradise. Like, no, it's not paradise. That was just our perception that was flawed because of an echo chamber. And so we thought that they were all like completely shoulder to shoulder on everything and completely angry about this, that, and this and the other thing. But like, then we come to find out, no, no, we're not. And oh, like here's another good example of this. So I worked with this guy that turns out he was gay and he was a Republican. And I was like, whoa, that's like a unicorn. So I'd never encountered that. I was like, every gay person I've met is pretty liberal or non-political. Like they're either, and oh, and then even as I say that, maybe they were non-political because they were Republican and they just didn't want to be, at odds with me. And not that they would. I mean, that's kind of like see, that's how we've divided ourselves. We let this go on. It's messed up. We gotta say enough is enough and not like punish people, just like clear the air and communicate and then just be done with it. Same with Trump and Zelensky. Like, the more that I look at it, the more like the whole thing just sucks. Like the war itself, people dying, people blowing each other up. Like, it's not worth it. Like, I mean, land, money, resource, minerals. And then I see like, Putin was offering us minerals and stuff. Like, if you want minerals, sure, whatever. We have minerals. Like, this is more for their safety. They don't want. I mean, and understandable. Like, I mean, now that BRICS is a thing, and I feel like that's like one of the main reasons that they formed BRICS was to show us like, you know what, we'll form our own club, you know, our own super secret club of military might and all this. And then Taiwan, oh, you're gonna try to help Taiwan be? It's all a bunch of jabs at each other. And we're basically like lining up our teams, picking our teams to fight. And for what? And then it's all gonna be like, you know what? Let's all just hold on. Let's step back and think about this. And that's what's going on. Like, love him or hate him, that's what President Trump's doing. And I'm excited for it. Like, it might be a shady backroom business deal, whatever. He got it done. Like, and at the end of the day, and it sucks that I say that because like older me is probably gonna be like screaming, be like, "What are you talking about? You knew this was gonna happen. You knew the Simpsons were gonna predict it. Like, it's gonna be the biggest bait and switch. Like, we're gonna pretend to hate the villain, and we're gonna make him such a villain. And we even say it in Batman, like he's the hero we need, but not the hero we deserve. And like, you know, and even Batman, like, if you think about it, he's just some rich playboy that runs around beating people up that have mental issues, like that need to seek help and get job skills or financial assistance or go to school, learn a skill and become a productive member of society. Like, but instead we just throw them in prison and take away their ability to be productive, even more so, and even cripple them too. Like, there's sometimes people have been in prison so long they can't really adjust, and they either like, you know, maybe take their lives or go do death by cop, or which I mean same thing, but like that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why that's so popular and so scary. And again, back to the police officers and law enforcement, that's a scary job because of all this death by cop nonsense. Like, you got someone charging at you with a knife or whatever, like, you know, for whatever reason, mostly the war on drugs. It all goes back to that. It all goes back to nobody had the gall or the wherewithal to say, you know what, this is kind of messed up. We need to stop this. And everybody was like, you're right. This is messed up. We need to stop this. And basically all the things that Jay and Silent Bob say in their movies or TV shows, and it's not just them too. Like, I didn't watch a lot of the old Clerks shows, but there's that guy that has the goatee and stuff, and I have seen some of the clips where he's in it, and it just makes a lot of sense. Like, a very wise philosopher behind the cash register that just, and same with bartenders too. I remember, which AOC, you know, part of why I think she's so intelligent is because she's heard and seen a lot of nonsense and like a lot of interesting stuff too. And there was this guy on Jeopardy who was a longtime winner, won a lot of episodes in a row. He was a bartender, and he was just like, you know, after the thing, or a cab driver and a bartender. I think he had like a double whammy of like two jobs. And they talked about, they're like, so how do you know just so much random stuff? He's like, well, you know, I drove cabs and that was my job. That's what I had to do. So, you know, you're gonna do what you're gonna do. And then I remember something someone else told me. You hang out in a barbershop long enough, you're gonna get a haircut, when he was talking about drug use. And that's true. I mean, if it's going around a lot, like, you're gonna start being like, why am I not doing this? Especially if you're younger too. That's what we gotta do. We just gotta protect the young mind from as much hardship as possible through communication and reducing the violence felt on communities and people. That's it. That's it. That's all we gotta do. You know, I'll get right on that. And so I sent this massive, massive XAP post. Oh man, that poor person. Like, but it's all right. We've been arguing back and forth, and I think, like I said, we were talking in circles. I actually agreed, and I was like, you know what? We can't just raise minimum wage, but we got to look at the other factors, and we got to fix it. And I think I accidentally screwed up and said, but we still need to raise the minimum wage. But like, so then I kind of contradicted myself, be like, well, if we completely rely, and that's what I started off by saying, is like, it's a patchwork of solutions that I feel like is going to be the ultimate like way we fix this, because there is a problem. Everybody admits it, or everybody acknowledges it. I mean, and we just have different ways of going about it. The Republican way has always been like more, and sorry to generalize, but this is kind of the general gist, is they've been more about stop spending. Like, we'd have all this money if you stop spending it on things. Like, why do we need to keep spending it? And then it's like, well, we do need these things so people can just jobs and live and this and that. And then I don't know. And or they find out, wait, we do actually need that, and that's why Elon's already caught some flack for that, and Trump, because they fired like a bunch of like nuclear people that they really needed. But that's also part of like a um, part of the unintended consequences of rebelling against the tell me five things you did. And Elon's even since clarified that. He said it's a pulse. It's just to see if you're a real person. And there has been fraud of people from North Korea getting our IT jobs, specifically in government. So, There you go. We're just hanging the door wide open. Like, yeah, come on in and work in our, most precious jobs and stuff, being completely irresponsible with that part of stuff. So, yeah, I'm glad that we're getting an aggressive audit on government efficiency. Oh, there's the alarm. But I'm not like I'm waiting to see what happens when the dust settles because XApp sucked for a lot of people. They found other jobs or they got hired back on, and the world moved on. Like it changed, and as bad as it was, I mean, still it wasn't as bad as COVID. And COVID was bad for everybody, no matter who you were, whether you were an essential or not. You either got burned out being an essential worker, or you were in despair being unemployed and like, what do I do? Like very awkward situations, very intense hardships that a lot of people like. Yeah, things weren't that great before, but wow, talk about really like. So, and I think that that's what we need to focus on as people moving forward is just how much it really is better, how much we're going to keep fixing things, and yeah, all of that. So, anyways, that's my time on this. I just wanted to finish over there. And yeah, I think I am going to treat myself to, well, some dinner and then some Dark Souls, maybe some Fortnites. Although I might actually, I'm kind of excited to go do some Linux stuff. So maybe, I don't want to jinx myself because I say that, but then I'll probably end up just playing video games. But as it does. It takes a lot of mental focus and effort to write scripts and stuff, but it's so much fun. Then you get into it, then it's like 5 hours later, you're like, whoa, what did I just do for all day? So, anyways, ta ta for now. I'll see you in the next one, whatever I do. All right, see you there.